Come on, Miss Kim.
Please join me in the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Please join me in prayer. Gracious and loving God, we gather here today in fellowship and service, thankful for the opportunity to come together as Rotarians, united by purpose and goodwill. Grant us clarity of mind and generosity of spirit as we strive to live by the values of truth, fairness, goodwill, and friendship. Bless the work we do collectively. May it be meaningful and always aimed toward the betterment of our communities and our state. Guide our discussions, inspire our decisions, strengthen our commitment to serve above self. We ask for wisdom, humility, compassion as we continue to our shared mission. Amen. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. We appreciate that. Rachel O'Neill, I know you're here. Come on down. We have a collection of guests with us today. Ms. Rachel's going to tell us about that. Come on.
Hi, good afternoon. You can just feel the energy in the room today. If you're a guest, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for attending, and welcome to Rotary.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate those of you who are here. As you know, this has been an RSVP-only event, but we did save a little room for some special guests. We appreciate you being here with us. We have a couple of announcements before we get right into the program. We want to spend as much time as possible there. I did want to note, because it came up last week as well, we're getting ready for our Oppenheimer visitors from Vietnam. They will be here in a couple of weeks. We're excited about that. There was a group of us on a call last night led by Maha Witherington and Chris Mangum, Karen and me, and maybe a couple of other Rotary folks with the two gentlemen who are heading our way. They are very excited about being here. And so the call was last week, we would love for you to spend a little time with those folks, showing them Arkansas, showing them Little Rock, showing them the things that make us special. You can reach out to Chris or Maha about schedule opportunities. One of them is in sort of visitor relations for his community. He loves a good touristy thing, so don't feel bad about that. Another in particular had a unique interest in agriculture and sustainable agriculture. So there's a lot of ways, and they all had very diverse interests. So don't be shy about sort of incorporating them in your life, showing them Arkansas as part of our sort of peace, goodwill, and understanding mission of Rotary. We have a real opportunity here with these folks who are going to be with us for a few weeks. They are part of a program coming up. You'll hear more from them in a few weeks. So we appreciate that. We also want to note on July 24th, past President Christina Bolhouse has the next book club meeting. Book club is one of those affinity groups we talked about last week. It's going to be really exciting. I think she's hosting this at her home in Walton Heights. Yeah, there's more information coming out about that. Even if you hadn't read the book and want to be part of the discussion, it's okay. Half the people in the room hadn't read the book. Don't let them fool you. And so, but it's a tremendous discussion and a lot of good time, so don't let that dissuade you. I do also want to make a note. Several of you have asked, is there a way our Rotary Club should be engaged in some way with the Rotary Club of Kerrville, Texas, given the tragedy that's unfolded there? Great question. What's about to, I think, be put on the screen is a web address. If you have an interest in making a donation, the Rotary Club of Kerrville and that district in particular has set up a way for you to make a donation through the Rotary nonprofit system. It's already built in. Rather than us collecting money and doing that, you can give directly to that district, and on that page at rotary5840.org, you can see how to do that if you're so inclined. Certainly, my understanding through Aaron Lubin is the camp director of Camp Mystic, who died in that flood, is a former Rotary president and a Rotary member as well. So there are a lot of connections to Rotary in that particular tragedy. And if you feel inclined to donate, feel free to do that. Also, I do want to announce Melissa Hendricks, who may be in this room because I can't keep up with everybody, who is leading our onboarding for new members, is scheduling a meeting for the folks that are new to our club and that came in May and June and those in July. You'll see a note about that coming up. We will make sure that you get plugged in the right areas. That's August 22nd. If that it hadn't gone out, you're going to get a note about that. That includes the new members we had last week. Right now, we're planning to announce 4 new members next week, so we'll make sure all of those get plugged into the new orientation process so we can find them a Rotary home, an area of service. So we appreciate Melissa leading that and Kristen Nicholson, who's shepherding that engagement program as well. All right, as part of our theme for the year, it is Building Arkansas. And what that means is we're highlighting companies that every day, companies, individuals, nonprofits, and governments every day who get up to make Arkansas a better place as we work to build a better Arkansas. And we want to highlight today a company that you have seen their work every day. Every day that you have gotten into an automobile and traveled somewhere, you have likely seen their work, had no idea that the product was made right down the road in the Little Rock port. And you're going to hear a story, a little brief video from a great company in our backyard that you didn't know was building something special. I do want to say thank you to the Little Rock Chamber of Commerce who had produced these videos, and to take a look at the screen on a great video on a company called Interstate Signways.
Interstate Signways is the largest guide sign manufacturer in the country. We build the large green, blue, and brown signs you see on the interstates. Being in the Port of Little Rock, we draw employees from Faulkner County, Jefferson County, Pulaski County, and it's that central location that's been a real advantage for us. One of the things that Interstate's developed over the 50-plus years of history is our relationship with the general contractors and the subcontractors that do the road work across the country. It's the dedicated workforce we have in Central Arkansas, and our capabilities here at Interstate are fairly unlimited. We build signs that are 80 feet in length, 30 feet in height. We do a lot of airport work. We do Disney work. We did the signage for the Panama Canal. It's all unique. Each state has a different spec for their requirements for reflectivity. The green you see on the face of that sign differs by state. So the aluminum is treated, it's anodized to ensure a very tight adhesion. We also have a growing e-commerce section of our business where we build and fabricate over 100 signs per day. And our product is shipped from Hawaii to Maine and everywhere in between. My name is Bobby Brown. I'm president and CEO of Interstate Signways, and we build the highway signage you see across America.
One of those great companies you may not know about that we're highlighting all year long, and they're just down the road here at the port. So it's a great, it's a fun story. You'll hear more about things like that as we go through the rest of the year. All right, so now let's turn our attention to the program of today. A couple of housekeeping notes. First, Rex, there'll be introductions more formally in a minute, but Rex Nelson will be leading the Q&A today with Coach. But there is time at the end for you to ask questions. Frankly, Coach has specifically asked that we make room for your questions. So if you have a question that you're burning to ask, there will be time for that. Raise your hand. You know we do this all the time. Raise your hand. We have multiple microphones that'll be staged around the building. We'll race a microphone to you before you get going. And we've got folks who are ready on call to do that. So we're excited about what's all happening today. I do want to first, I wanted to make a little thank you before the official thank yous to Jeff Hildebrand. Past President Hildebrand's been working with Joe Klein and Chris and Woolard and a lot of folks to sort of make this day happen. And I appreciate Jeff getting the ball rolling or getting the dominoes falling in that respect. He has a real heart for Rotary. He's been a member 27 years, and there are countless things he has done to sort of serve this community well. I also recognized recently what an incredible motivational speaker Jeff is. I didn't know this about Jeff. Like last week, I told you how many of you came up and said, I'm proud of you, and I'm really excited for you, and you're going to do great, and anything I can do to help, let me know. My yes is on the table. Right, like seconds before I walked onto the stage last week, past President Hildebrand pulled me aside. He actually put his hand on my shoulder, and he leaned down, and in his most encouraging words was like, hey, Don't screw this up. So I appreciate his warm words of encouragement, and actually Jeff's become frankly, a trusted friend and an ally, and he has a lot of wisdom to offer, and I want to welcome him to the stage for all the introductions to get the program rolling. Past President, Mr. Motivation, Jeff Hildebrand.
Thank you, Mitch. My wife just told me not to screw this up either, so. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, Coach John Calipari, and our moderator, Rex Nelson. First, I want to thank a few people who made this program happen today. First, the Clinton Library and the Clinton Foundation, Stephanie Street and Lena Hayes. Past President Greg Hatcher, Twin City Limo, for providing the transportation for Coach to get down here from Fayetteville and back, and from the airport to here. Certainly want to thank Karen Fetzer, President Mitch Bettis, and Mandy Richardson, your program chair, for their patience, as this program took quite a bit of time to put together. And Chris Woolard, the general manager for the Arkansas Razorbacks and a longtime associate of Coach Calipari. He's been my main contact through multiple text, emails, and those type of things. I got somebody else I need to, oh yeah, Joe Klein. Bear with me, this was a process. So this process started back in December of 2024. Deanna and I were in New York City for the Arkansas-Michigan basketball game at Madison Square Garden. Jake, will you show the clip, please?
And they changed their mind about how they feel about John Calipari. Didn't love him so much when he was up in Lexington.
Anyway, you can tell I was having a good time, and I love the Hogs. Coach, I think I got more airtime than you did that night. Rock City Outfitters out of Conway makes a shirt, and I was wearing it, and they actually reached out, sent me a bunch of swag, and I feel certain the sales of the shirt went up significantly after my appearance on ESPN. By the way, I'm currently negotiating NIL deals with my employer, Centennial Bank, and Corky's, but I'm certainly open for a few more. Anyway, Joe was sitting behind me at the game, sending me texts, telling me to sit down, and a few other colorful words, and I think at that point in time, it was when the hindsight I started thinking, maybe the possibility we could get Coach Cal to come talk to Rotary. So I texted Joe shortly thereafter and said, you think you could help us do that? And he said, sure, but let's wait till after the season because he doesn't want to be bothered. And I said, I get that. So I waited maybe 24 hours after the heartbreaking loss to Texas Tech to remind Joe about our conversation. And shortly, Joe texted Chris Woolard and said some really great things about us as Rotarians, prominent business leaders in Central Arkansas, who's who, et cetera, and introduced me to Chris. Then he sent me a separate text and said, by the way, that's not you. Anyway, Joe, all kidding aside, certainly appreciate what you did. Chris, certainly appreciate you helping facilitate this. Our moderator today is a friend of Rotary, Rex Nelson. He has presented several times over his career for a variety of subjects. Since 2017, he's been a senior editor and columnist for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette and has a regular blog and podcast called Southern Fried. He graduated from Ouachita Baptist in '81, but he's been doing the play-by-play for Ouachita Baptist since 1978, so when he first got there. I've known Rex over 30 years, and I don't think there's anyone who knows more about Arkansas sports and politics than Rex. Coach John Calipari is a Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer, a national champion, a leader, a motivator, and one of the most respected names in the world of not only college basketball, but just sports in general. I could read all of Coach's accomplishments here over his 42-year coaching career, 32 of them as head coach, but I would be here all afternoon. Most importantly, Coach is a family man. He and his wife, Ellen, have been married 39 years and have 3 children. Megan is a trained pastry chef, writer, and photographer, and recipe developer for Earthy Provisions. Aaron is an associate professor for pharmacology at Vanderbilt, and Brad is an assistant coach and director of on-court player development for the Razorbacks. Some fun folks about Coach Cal. He's a devout Catholic. He has dual citizenship in the U.S. and Italy. And according to my research, he has written 7 books. Let's give Rex and Coach Cal a warm Rotary welcome. Come on up here, young man. Thank you.
Can I say something before
Go
we
ahead.
started?
Go ahead.
They never tell you the New Jersey Nets fired me. And the reason was I traded for Joe Klein, and then I got fired.
And let me say something. If you will go over here and look at that head table, they had name tags. Here we sit with a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame. And yet his name tag is just like the rest of us. It tells a business. His says Arkansas Razorbacks. Mine says Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Joe Klein, legend. Hold that name tag up, Joe. He puts that in his contract now. You know, Coach, some of us knew before he got so big-headed.
To get me to do this, he called me, and as the good American that he is, said, "Do you believe in free speech?" And I said, "Yes, I do." "Good, you're going to give one up in Little Rock."
Speaking about a speech, I've got to say one thing, because this goes to the character of this gentleman. I told Coach Cal when he walked in today, I said, I owe you a thanks from many years ago. I was head of an organization called the Delta Regional Authority, and we were having our annual meeting in Memphis. And Coach, I was already a fan. I had even taken my boys, I want you to know, I remember it, to the old Cal Steakhouse, which was in a hotel off of East Poplar over there. And so I thought, all right, we're meeting in Memphis. I've got enough budget for one big name speaker. So I invited Coach. He agreed to it, signed the contract. About a month before our meeting, he heads to Kentucky. Oh, golly, I've lost my speaker. You know, it's going to be hard to find a big name speaker this late. So I called his agent, and he said, let me talk to Coach. Now, he's new to Kentucky. You know how much you've got to deal with being new to a program. Agent calls back that very afternoon and says, Coach said to tell you when he signs a contract, he sticks to it. And he'll be back in Memphis for your meeting.
Mistake.
Not because of us, it's because it's a media feeding frenzy, yeah.
It was a feeding frenzy. But I'm glad I did it.
Thank you. Thank you. Coach, to start off, I know you've been very open in telling this story, but I think this group would love to hear it firsthand, and that is that wild 48 to 72 hours when Arkansas got on the radar and suddenly you find yourself moving from Lexington, Kentucky to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tell us how it happened.
I was at the Final Four, and John Tyson called me, and he had done it one other time. In 2007, I think he did it. I'd known John for 25, 30 years, but he said, I need you to meet with our athletic director. He wants to run some names by you. So I said, sure, I'll meet with him. And after running some names by, he said, why not you? I said, what are you talking about? Why not me? He said, why wouldn't you take this job? And I went through the whole thing. I had to leave. I was going from Phoenix to Vegas. A friend of mine was having a bachelor party, his third, by the way. And I went out, and we just kept that conversation going. And we had a Catholic priest with us. And I said, why didn't someone say something? Would the good Lord? He said, no, it don't work that way. So he said, why don't you go for a walk for an hour, thinking you're the coach at Kentucky. And on the way back, you walk for an hour, being the coach at Arkansas. And it'll tell you how you feel. And that's what I did, and I felt great. And I said, you know what? Talked to my wife, what do you think? She said, let's go for it. You can do this. And but for all you that say you're so happy that I'm here, I'm more happy that I'm here than you even. I'm ecstatic, the support. I understand the background of this program. Coach Sutton treated me like a son. I was at dinner last night with Coach Richardson. I made sure they called him to see how he would feel about me being coach there before I took the job. I called the president, do I have your blessing? He said, well, we got a different governor, different party now, but yes, you know, I said, I don't care about the governor. I want to know, should I be coming to Arkansas to coach? So, I mean, it happened quick, but I was kind of nudged to do this. And I think anytime you're nudged to do something like this, and then just a question, how did you like the season?
Yeah.
How were you when we were 0-5? So, no, it's, you know, look, I feel a sense of responsibility to the fans in this state. This state institution means the world to this state, and I know that. But we're going to bring in good kids and continue. That's why we got by last year. I mean, we had no business finishing and doing what we did. How about when our best two scorers, our leading two scorers, got hurt for the year? Did you start thinking, well, next year will be better? I mean, but we had Trevin Brazil stepped up. Billy Richmond stepped up. Carter, DJ Wagner stepped up. And all of a sudden, we were better we were playing 6 guys. If we had another injury, we would have had a problem. But, you know, but it was a great run. And like I said, I'm excited about being here and what we're trying to do and appreciate the support.
You've got a lot of the business and civic leaders of the state of Arkansas in this club. This is, by the way, one of the oldest and largest Rotary clubs in the nation. So this is the cream of the crop. And you mentioned 0-5. So I was just going to ask from a leadership standpoint. You've been at this a long time. You know that a college basketball season is a marathon, and it was still early. But those kids who were playing for you, how did you keep them plugged in? How did you keep them believing? And what were the keys to really turning that thing around after the 0-5 conference start?
Well, I took the UMass job in 1988. No one wanted the job. It was the 5th losingest program of the decade of the 80s. So 5 people turned it down. When I took the job, I was 28 years old, and a business friend of mine from the community where I live said, I want to have a cup of coffee with you. I know you got that job. I want to talk to you. And his name was Pat Nardelli. And he said to me at that meeting, listen, I know you're impatient. I know your mindset. I know you're a dreamer. I know you think it's going to happen overnight. But one thing I know, you can have a bad deal with good people because stuff happens. But you can never have a good deal with bad people. You make sure that your staff, if they come at you and I can get you players and I can do this, but they're not a good person, don't take them. When you're recruiting players, the kid's a star, but he's not a good guy. Don't take them, believe me. Surround yourself with good people because things will go south. And good people will stick together. And that's what I've kind of lived by my whole career. If I feel uneasy, I'm not doing it. I've walked out of homes where a young man disrespected his mom or grandmother. I will walk out, and I'll do it in a way, oh, the plane, they're waiting. We're going to have to leave. And then I look at my staff. You didn't do your homework. Why would I be wasting my time with a young man like this? I'm not going to bring this kind of guy in. So last year, when we were 0-5, my staff never moved. We stuck together. The players never moved. And we were close the whole time. I mean, we lost those games. We could have won a bunch of them. But you know what? They didn't point fingers. They didn't make alibis. They didn't blame. They took responsibility, and so did we as a staff and me as a head coach. And then, think about this. When our 2 leading scorers go down, the guys behind them had to be good guys because they had to wait their turn. And how about this? He likes them better than he likes me. That's why I'm not playing. I'm not going to work. Why would I work? He didn't put me in the game. And it was none of that. So when Trevin had his chance, he became one of the most impactful players in the country When DJ became our point guard, we became a different team. And so then you should ask, why'd you play those other guys? And so my point being, good people figure it out. And a bad person is in it for himself and will never take responsibility. And I think when I'm talking to you in here, the business people, you already know this. And there have been people that you've had to let go and say, you're good at what you do, but you're just not good for us. And you can't be here. All I can tell you is, like this year's team, if you walked into practice, you would say they're really coachable, they're really locked in, they seem like good guys. When things go south, that's when the good guys stand up. So that was kind of a long explanation, but if you wanted to know how we got by last year, and by the end of the year, like, did anybody else think we were going to the Final Four? Like I did. And then another kind of question, why are leads no more, they're not safe anymore? Like in the NCAA tournament, I've done this a long time. If you have a 10, 12 point lead, you coasted and started eating popcorn, it's over. Now you could be up 20 and it's not safe. Because what happened to us, you can say whatever you want, but it happened to Texas Tech next game against Florida because they had that kind of lead. And then it happened to Duke against Houston because they had that lead. And then Houston had that lead against Florida and happened to them. I don't know if it's social media that has changed. You could say, well, everybody's skilled. Well, then if you're up 20 and you're skilled, you're winning the game. So I think social media, where you have direct messages, where in the past you waited for the newspaper to write their story, so you had a day to breathe. The radio went that next afternoon or evening. Now you walk in the dressing room and you get an immediate response. You're not thinking about that when you're shooting free throws. You're walking in, and you could say, well, they're not looking. Do you know how much they're looking at their phones? I mean, at halftime, you walk in, they get, guys, get off your phones. So, you know, but I come back to just Jonas Adu comes in my office after the season, gives me a hug. I appreciate this opportunity. Coach, playing for you, blah, blah. We went back and forth. I love you, you love me. And he leans back in the couch and he says, I want to apologize. I want to apologize for what? That free throw. And I go, I didn't think about that free throw when you walked in, and I won't think about it when you walk out, and the next time I see you, I won't think about it. It took 10 things to happen for us to lose that game. 10. And then I said, now yours was one of them, but but it took 10. So, but again, you think about him, the type of young man he was, to come in and apologize for, you know, but we had, it was one of the most, if not the most rewarding years that I've had in this profession, because of how it was and how we withstood things, how fans stayed with us. Some didn't. You don't expect them to. We were 0-5. Yeah, I have people say, Coach, I knew you'd get it going. I didn't know. How did you know? So it was, now I just want to build on it. You know, I want these kids to benefit by this experience. You know, I want the team to be, at the end of the year, just like this one, that we're one of the teams that has a chance. That every year we're finishing the year, we got a chance. And sometimes you do this when you least expect it, and you have that breakthrough. So last year was a great foundation for what we want to do.
Let's go back again to early in the conference season. That night at Kentucky, biggest sports event in the nation that day, huge national television audience. I know, Coach, every coach likes to preach one game at a time, no game more important than the other. There's no way that was not a special night in your life.
It is now. Like, when I think back, like, that was nice. Okay? But at the time, folks, we were 1-6.
Right.
We just had to win a game. I didn't care who it was against. So when the game ended, well, we just had to do that. Then we went and beat Texas. And then we kind of got on a roll. That may have turned us, but I had 2 players come in my office that week and came in and did this matter-of-factly, we're going to win this game, coach. We'll win this game. And then one left, and a day later, another one walked in. We're going to win this game, which meant to me they must have been in the locker room talking about it. We're winning this game. There's nothing stopping us from winning it. Well, after they said, you know, coach, we did that for you. And I go, you don't do this for me. How about we do it for each other? Whatever you just did, do that for each other. Because now we're as good as anybody in the country. And we end up, you know, with all that we went through. You think about it. I've been on teams that were 38-0. It's a different feeling. What we went through to finish the way we did, and it could have been 2 more games, and I hate to tell you, in my mind, it should have been. And then all of a sudden, before the Kentucky game, I think they said their chances to be in the NCAA tournament, to be in, were 0%. Like, they got no chance. Yeah, but you forgot to tell a bunch of good guys that they can't make it and they can't do it. So now I look back, it was good. And you know what? I have a year to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have a year to have misery. But
You are so calm, though, and you go out and you visit with those people on those courtside seats that you've known for a number of years. Was the reception back there, I'm just wondering, better than you thought it was going to be, worse than you thought it was going to be?
I went to Mass in the church that I've been in, and the night before. We got in early. The staff didn't know why I wanted to get in early because I knew what time the Mass was, and I wanted to go to Mass the night before the game. Then I had a couple dinner things set up. We had another thing set up where I could see all my friends, and it was unbelievable. And they made me feel so good. It didn't matter what I walked into, and I didn't expect to walk into cheers. I mean, you know, they're now rooting for their team, and I'm the other coach. But it was a great experience. And, you know, when you have true fans, they're your friends. And they're not afraid to stand up. You know, some of them wore Arkansas stuff, and they've been Kentucky fans their whole life, but they were my friends. And a friendship's not one way. You know, a friendship is I was there for them, they were always there for me. And so, yeah, we had to win the game. It didn't matter who we played. It was a game we had to win so that we could keep it going and also keep the kids believing. You gotta have some success now. You can't just say there's gotta be something that shows we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be fine. And following it up, I didn't realize, like, Texas is a big game in this state, huh? I'm still learning stuff. It's just a little game. No, in beating them twice, I mean, you know, there was a lot of good stuff.
Talking about still learning stuff. You've been here about 15 months now. We're a small state, but as you've learned, it's a tremendously proud state. And you look at the people who were our greatest Arkansans, a lot of them were like you. They weren't born and raised in Arkansas. If you did a Mount Rushmore, I think most of the people in this crowd would agree with me that you would put the late Governor Winthrop Rockefeller on there. You would put Frank Broyles on there because he gave this state something to be proud of at a time when it didn't have a lot to be proud of. You'd put Sam Walton on there. None of those people born or raised in Arkansas. So I'm just curious, you've traveled the state extensively the past 15 months. What you've learned about Arkansas, maybe what has surprised you about Arkansas in your short time here?
Well, first of all, there's something in the water when you have a Sam Walton, a Don Tyson, J.B. Hunt. I mean, you could go on, the Stevens family. I mean, there's something in the water here. But the only way they could do what they're doing is they had to have unbelievable character, too. You can fool some of the people, but you're not going to fool everybody all the time. And you are what you are, and that honesty and that character is when stuff explodes. And I've always said, in our little corner is one thing, but a lot of the state grew up the way I did. You know, my dad was a baggage handler, worked in the mill. He worked 2 years, and he said, if I had stayed there, I would probably die. He was near the blast furnace, the red line that did the steel. And my mom worked in the high school cafeteria. She was sold the ice cream at the high school cafeteria. So I grew up like the people I meet. And so I can see that pride. And my dad, even to this day, will say, he's 92, he's doing great, by the way, but he says, I don't know what you're doing, kid, but keep fooling them. You know, so my mom was a dreamer. You could be whatever you want, said you could be president someday if you want to be president. Live beyond your surroundings and dream beyond your surroundings, because you had no, this isn't you, this is us, and how we were able to raise you. Now that I'm a dual citizen, I cannot run for president, but you know, I just grew up. Anybody here grew up Friday to Friday? You know what, Friday to Friday, Thursday was a tough day for dinner. You had waffles and eggs and, you know, whatever was in the house. And then Saturday, Sunday, you ate cookies, ice cream, everything you could, but that stuff would be gone by Monday. And, you know, but everyone that I grew up with, we all grew up the same. Everybody's father was a laborer and didn't know any different. And even today, how my wife and I live, she grew up in Osceola, Missouri. I was just up there this weekend. It's about 2.5 hours from here. You know, they're the county seat. 750 people live there. Wow. In the county seat. And like, I would hope you would say he's a regular guy. That's like a compliment. Who I am is who I am, and how I grew up and who I grew up around. My high school buddies are still my buddies. My college buddies are still my buddies. And, you know, I just have been lucky. I am a poor, miserable sinner for all you Catholics out there, believe me. And I've been fortunate, and I've been fortunate to get this opportunity. Can you imagine I get one more chance to help 20, 25 more families? Can I do a humble brag?
Absolutely.
Do you guys mind a humble brag?
Please.
You know, 80 players, and again, our players have gone on college degrees, all this stuff, but 80 of them have gone on to the NBA. They've made over $6 billion. Now let me sink that in for a minute. I didn't say 6 million. I said 6 billion. Yeah. The current players that I coached that are in the league right now, and when I say 6 billion, I'm talking my players from UMass, the Marcus Camby's. Anybody remember? You remember, we got some older guys here. I like it. They're not embarrassed to raise their hands. And then my guys at Memphis, the current players, you just saw that Shea got that contract. You just saw that Devin Booker got his. It's over $4 billion, and they're like 40 of them. And so what they have become and what my job is, understanding if we win, they benefit more. If you don't win, it's hard for them to benefit. So winning matters, but not taking my eye off the ball, that's someone's child. And that's someone's family who's looking at this, where life is going to change now. The generational stuff just ended. And now going forward, 3 of them have made $500 million playing basketball. Did you hear what I just said? It's crazy. But I love it, and I'm prideful of it that we were a part of it. I can't do it for them. We create a culture. They have to share. You're not shooting all the balls. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you you're going to I don't know. But this culture that we have started to develop now in Arkansas is about first professional habits, about being a great teammate, about sharing. My guys very rarely get traded because they're good teammates. They're good guys. Joe got traded 6 times. I had to do that, Joe. But that, just so you know, if we do right by these kids, they will do right by us. And if it were your son, because many of you were mad when I started having kids leave after a year. He's ruining college basketball. It wasn't my rules. I didn't make the rules. But DeMarcus Cousins comes to me and says, should I stay or should I leave? And I said, if you want to do what's right for you and your family, you put your name in that draft. Now, if you want to do what's right for me and my family, you need to stay all 4 years. And so, you know, trying to do right and literally say what's best for them, I'll worry about the program and me later, is how we've kind of gone with this. We had 5 players drafted, 6 players drafted in 2012. I'm sorry, 5 first-round draft picks, which will never be done again. We've had 6 players drafted from 2 different teams that I've coached. 5 first-rounders. Everybody said you can't do it this way. This is wrong. In Kentucky, they were mad. There were people angry. The next year, we went to the Final Four with a new team.
Wow.
If you're doing right by the kids, it's kind of like karma to work out. So I'm not going to throw kids under the bus. I'm not. I make them. I'm not the benevolent. If you have ever watched me coach or you've been to my practice, you know, Joe, quit laughing, that it's hard. I'm not, you know, I'm not the easiest guy to play for, but what's at the end is important.
So this day and time, a lot of these kids, you only get them for 1 year. You got a year to influence their lives.
2 years this year, 3
yeah,
years you could, but many of them won't.
Beyond actual basketball skills, what are the most important things? We're talking about building Arkansas and leaders here. What are the most important things?
What you in this room do, you servant leadership. You try to, you want to create joy in your life. You do something for somebody else. And trying to get them to understand, think about this. If you understand how to create joy in each other's in this room, and you can march outside and you treat people outside this room like your parents, you know why? Because that's the stuff your parents used to do. Whether someone at the restaurant's nice to you there, you be nice to them. Creating joy, creating understanding, team, telling them all the time. You can go fast by yourself, but if you want to go far, you got to do it with other people. And I think professional habits are so important because they transcend just basketball. The biggest battle we all in this room have every day is with ourselves. The battle of what we're saying to ourselves, what's coming at us, that battle. We want to stop. You don't let yourself stop. You don't want to get out of bed, but you do, and then you make your bed. You see the bed, I'm not making it this morning, and then you make it. The battle you have is with you. Well, for them, think about when you were 17 and 18, and we didn't have social media. So teaching them that, and then, like I said, the team, when you lose yourself in the team, and you fall back on the training, which means you're doing this for the team, it becomes downhill. Everything else is uphill. But the battle they have with themselves, that's the one, like we're doing conditioning right now, and I'm just trying to get them to where they want to stop, but they don't. I want them to be miserable about it, mad. I want to stop, but I don't. And they just won. First battle you have is with yourself. Before you battle anybody, you got to battle yourself. And then you go battle the other people. So those are the kind of lessons I've been blessed to be able to teach because I've had, and some of you males in here understand, when I recruit, I'm talking to moms. So the father will ask me a question, and I'm very short, yes, it's very nice of you. And then I talk with the mom because that's who's making the decision. And if Mama Bear doesn't trust you, you're not recruiting, you're not getting her son. And mothers have entrusted me with their child. Now think about that. So someone will go, why you go to Mass? Well, think about what I got. I got everybody's child here. And they're also the parent, which means if you're 0-20 and their son scores a lot, they're probably happy. And if you're 20-0, but their son didn't play a whole lot, they're probably not happy. but they trusted you enough to say, I want my son with you. And I don't take it lightly.
All right, we're going to open up for your questions. So let us get a microphone to you. I'll start, we got one over here. Go ahead, Mitch. I'll let you decide who we go with.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. So my guess, and maybe wrong, is that you're an intuitive and experience-based coach, but how much does data go in, stats go into how you coach and how you plan?
Well, it's a great question. I'll look at stats. Like right now, every practice that we have, I have them keeping lane touches, which is how many times the ball is driven or thrown into the post, and then play off of it, because that's where the game is now. The game is more about fast, quick decisions. And so, yes, I'll do that. But I also know, I want to know what group is out there and how they're playing together. So some of it is my eyes watching, some of it is my gut of feeling. But here's the other thing. For the last 10 years at least, it was either shoot a layup or shoot a three. No in-between game. Well, I never bought that. Nope. So, can I do a humble brag? Absolutely. Okay.
Keep them coming.
So, 30% of the max contracts in the NBA are my guys. You know why? Because they got a middle game. You're not supposed to shoot the middle game. All the best players, Shea Alexander, he had a middle game, and when they needed a basket, you just needed two. You don't need a three. And you can't get to the layup because the guy's 7'8" in there blocking everything. I got to be able to, well, I'm going to stand in the corner and shoot threes, 3 and D, and I'll try to defend. Great, you're never going to be a max contract, and they'll probably throw you in any trade because they can get those. The middle game is what I teach all my kids, and I have for 10 years. So I don't listen. That's the analytics. Don't shoot middle. The best percentages of three are at the rim. But if I have the middle game, then I could be special.
Jimmy, we'll go over here.
Does that make sense?
Coach, when we came in this morning and visited with the Clinton Library greeters downstairs, they were euphoric and happy. Each one of them said, Coach Cal just came in a few minutes ago, spent individual time with each one of us, and wanted to say thank you for your leadership in following the Rotary test.
Thank you. Money has wings and fame is fleeting, and how, treating people, and it took me 8 seconds to do that, I do it. Just kind of, I don't know, I'm not doing it for any other reason. That they feel good, then I just created joy for me.
Andrew?
Yes, Coach. Back in the 1970s and the 80s at Louisville, Denny Crum, he used to schedule tough, real tough. He didn't care if he had several losses to the tournament. Won the title in 80, 80, and 86, 6 Final Fours. You're scheduling tough. All 8 of the Elite 8 teams last year are on your schedule. Tell us more how that came about and what the thinking was.
Started at UMass, where we would play anybody, any place, anytime. But the league wasn't as good as the SEC, so I could do that. And what we did at that point, if you're going to be number one in the country, you got to beat number one. And you ain't beating them in January. So you play them early and maybe clip somebody, and now you become number one. Now, that's what I did. Now, let me say this. I only did that after I knew I had a good team. So last year, our schedule was pretty good. I didn't know my team. When I went for the press conference, I said, before I go on the stage, can I see my team? Yeah, you're all laughing. There was no team. So then I sat down at my desk and I said, what's the schedule? What do they have? They said, well, we have no schedule. What the hell were they doing here? They have no schedule? So this year we're playing Duke in Chicago on Thanksgiving. It'll be the highest rated television game in maybe the last regular season in the last
I was going to say,
decade.
last year, those ratings were incredible.
Yeah,
on Thanksgiving
our
Day.
ratings last year with Illinois were the highest rated games, that game in the country regular season. Then we got Houston, who's #1 in the country in New York City. We got Louisville, who's top 10 at home. We go to Michigan State, that'll be a top 10, 15 team. And we got Texas Tech in Dallas. So I figured out in 2004 maybe, we're in the NCAA tournament. And if we win, I think we played here in Little Rock. And if we won, we were going to play in Dallas. And I got a call from Rick Barnes, the coach at Texas, and he said, the NCAA did it to you again. I said, what'd they do this time? He said, you're going to end up playing Arkansas in Dallas. Do you know that's Barnhill South? Do you know anything about Barnhill South? I go, what the hell's Barnhill South? And if you remember, they lost, thank God. And then we ended up playing and won that next game. But that scheduling, I'm doing it because I like the group I have. I coached 4 of them, came back, and so then you start scheduling. If I need to go back for whatever reason, I will. But we're going to challenge our kids, and if you're going to be the best, you better be playing the best.
I'm going to have to make this one the last question. The real Rotary rule, Coach, is you got to be out at 1 o'clock or they'll stampede you here.
So, Coach, it's great to have you in Arkansas. Great leadership, gutsy decision coming here last year. But last year,
General, how are you?
Yeah, we're good.
I'm a big fan of yours. Every time I see you on TV running for president when you did and all that, you were a great American, great American.
No, I watched your leadership with the team, and it was fabulous. But we're worried about the money on this. Now we got through NIL sort of, and now there's like $20.5 million that gets split up and so forth, and then there's maybe NIL for other people. Are we doing okay? Because Arkansas is not the wealthiest state in the. We play Texas, we play Alabama, and people like that. They got a lot of money down there. So are you feeling good about it, and do we have enough?
Well, what a great question. And so I was always for NIL, name, image, and likeness. And the reason I was is I felt kids should be able to sign autographs and do stuff or sell their picture. It was theirs, the name on a jersey, sell a jersey. I always was for that and talked about it 10 years ago, and everybody got on me. Well, this is not name, image, and likeness. This is pay for play. They're professionals. No, I wasn't feeling that. But, General, here's the issue. We have free agency every year. Every player. They can leave when they want to leave. So I say to you, if a kid transfers 4 times, is he going to graduate from that school? There's no way. You can't graduate. So now you're going to be done playing without a college degree. You have no ties to the last school you went to where they feel that you're from Arkansas, you played here, we're here, you're going to have opportunity. That's done. You're offered $55,000 in your first job, and you go, what? $55,000? Do I have to show up? Are they going to, you got me an apartment, right, or a car? I mean, I'm worried about mental health. Mental health. That, look, I've been poor. And you know what's worse than being poor? Coming across some money and then being poor again. That's the worst. That's probably why I'm cheap, because I'm not going back there. But so my thing is, and I've been pushing this, you can transfer once without penalty. because you picked the wrong school, the coach lied to you, there was another player that came that you didn't know about, one time. And after that, you got to sit. Because what do you think they're transferring for? Somebody help me here. Why are they say it? That's it. It isn't because they're mad at this or that. I can extort you, and if you don't give it to me, I'm going over here. If we cure that, I've been saying it for 5 years, no one listens to me. My dog, I call him, he runs the other way. My wife doesn't listen to me, no one listens. If we cure the transfer rule, 70% of our problems go away. We can deal with all the other stuff. But typical government, they put a bill in the House, and it includes a safe harbor so the NCAA can't get sued. Well, who's voting for that in our divided House right now? If we just went after the transfer portal, here's another one. 5 years of college to play 4 years. If you stay at the same school 4 years, we'll give you a 5th year. How about, does that make sense? Like logical, fair? Just, do you really want your 18-year-old playing against a 28-year-old? We're going into a game. The guy has a beard. He's waving to 2 kids in the stands. And I've got the youngest team in the SEC, okay? And then I said, what's he doing with his NIL money? He's paying alimony from the last wife. What the heck? What are we doing? So some of this stuff, the powers that be are trying to save, they're thinking money. And I'm telling you, if we cure some of this other stuff, that goes, if they can't transfer every chance, the agents will start backing out of this. Why would that be? Because they ain't making money. They ain't gonna stay in this. You'll have a few, but they won't. So there are things that we can do that can fix it. But it has to go to Congress. I talked to Steve Womack. I said, Steve, you got to get some D's on this too now. Yeah. And I've talked to some D's, and they, a safe harbor thing. And I'm like, well, then don't vote for the safe harbor. Do the other stuff. So we get that fixed. I'm feeling good. You know what? To be honest, before I'm done with this, my son's 30. I want to fix this so that it's not. Think about if you're coaching and every player on your team could leave and they come in and say, if you're not going to give me this, I'm not staying. Now, someone would say, well, they want to play for you. Okay, I may get a 15% discount, but it ain't 50% discount. And so where we are right now, the transfer, and here's why I think they haven't moved on it. Who does the transfer rules, who does that fall on? Does it fall on the college president? Does it fall on the AD? They're worried about that $20 million in rev share. I'm worried about the transfer so I can coach my team the right way and teach kids the right stuff. The first sign of trouble, you want him to run, or do you want your child to dig in his heels and make it work? You're not starting? Well, then work harder. You do the thing. Well, he doesn't like me. That's a bunch of bull. He wants a win. You go do your thing. Well, he's being hard on me. I want him to be hard on you. He's supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's what I sent you there for, not to tell. Well, then he's mad and he leaves. So I say it, and I should have known the general would ask me that kind of question to get me started. But, I want to thank all of you in this room, servant leaders, caring about something bigger than yourself, this state, this great state where people work hard, sometimes doing more with less, sometimes way less, trying to raise a family in an environment that's really hard. But people like you who've climbed the ladder of success, you can turn around and pick up the ladder, or you can turn around and pick up the next person, the next person, and next person. And everybody, they throw at me, this guy doesn't care about winning. He only cares about getting kids in the NBA and graduating. He only cares about the kids. Can I do a humble brag?
Please, please. Have at it.
You can say that. It's not true. He's won more games and
Yep.
more Final Fours and more Elite Eights and more Sweet 16s and more conference championships and tournaments. So it's not true, but if you say that to me, I'm good. That if you say that's all I care about, I don't care about winning. Well, what would we have done if I cared about winning? So just you in this room, knowing how you are, where you're about picking other people up, this is what's got to spread in our country right now. This, like, people need a helping hand. I mean, you look at me like Larry Brown was the coach that gave me an opportunity. Well, first of all, Ted Owens. You all remember Ted Owens? Coached at Kansas. He hired me my first job as a volunteer assistant. I said, well, how much does that guy make? I was a volunteer. I worked in the training room. Peas and corn, which would you like? And then I worked for Larry Brown. The good news, he and I have missed here the last couple days, but I want to call him because I was thinking about, you made it okay to go take other jobs. You remember where everybody said, Larry, he didn't stay in one place more than 5-7 years. But I worked for the guy, and he made it okay. If you want to do something or you want a job that's better for you at this time, then go. Doesn't mean I don't care about the universities, but you also know it is a job. It's what it is. And I want to represent the right way.
Coach, I do want to close with this.
No, not done yet.
I do want to close with this. You have joined this small exclusive club called Arkansans. And not to play to Italian-American stereotypes, but we're a little bit like the mafia. Once you're in, you're not allowed out. So you're not allowed to leave. You are not allowed to retire. You're looking good anytime soon. You are a made man. You are a Razorback now.
Well,
Thank you for being with us
appreciate
today.
it. Thanks, folks. Thanks, Brad.
Coach. Yes, sir.
All right, that was fantastic, and from a leadership lesson, I appreciate go to battle with good people and high character, and be a servant leader. And I think we can all take home that to our offices here. Coach and Rex, speaking of a ladder, speaking of being...
Is the general still here?
Yeah, I think...
I
yeah.
need to take a picture with
All
him.
right, we won't leave. We do want to recognize a couple things. I know you normally after a program rush the stage to take a picture and meet the speaker. We cannot do that today. Coach, frankly, there's a basketball practice this afternoon, and we're trying to get him back to practice. We also have a media here going to do a press conference. You are welcome to stay and watch the press conference. We just ask you to move back, and we've got about 10 minutes before we need to start moving him toward a plane so that he can get back with the rest of the team. So we appreciate you being here. We're going to ring the bell that we're done, but if y'all could sort of head that direction so that the media can get set up right here, we appreciate it. Have a good one. All right. No, let's get him.
Okay.